live on Focus on Liberia, right?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Yes. Now.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. We are live with the one and only Emmanuel Savice of Luja. And hit that share button, invite someone, and we're going to be starting in a minute. This is our May Week special, and we want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Mr. Anthony Sia is comfortably seated. Mr. Sia, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Dennis, thank you. You are right. You can see I am comfortably seated here, and I'm happy to be here sharing the studio with you and also with our guest, Brother Emmanuel Savice, an advocate, the leader of the Liberian United for Justice and Accountability. He's a gentleman who has been persistent in his advocacy for the War and Economic Crime Code. I follow his work. I follow his advocacy. And he also doesn't shy away from talking the truth about our politics. So we'll get a little bit of that from him today. Mr. Savice, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sia. I'm glad to be on. Thanks. I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
All right. And so, folks, in cyberspace, like Dennis said, hit that share button. We have a very important guest, and we're going to have a very responsible and serious conversation here. And the issues we're looking at today, we're looking at the appointment of Nwabudike, but this time we're looking at it from a different angle. The emphasis will be on the dual citizenship part of it. Our guest is also a proponent of dual citizenship. And there's this sense of feeling that came out of this confirmation that the whole proposal we have on hand right now is somehow unfair to natural-born Liberians. And Savice have been saying this, and so we thought to bring him in to talk about that. And also we will be talking about other things that are important. So stay there, share the show. Mr. Savice was brutalized, allegedly, the government said, some people would say, by EPS when he made a recent trip to Liberia to advocate for War and Economic Crime Court. And on this platform, Focus on Liberia, we had the opportunity to play host to the Deputy Presidential Press Secretary, Smith Tobe. And Smith Tobe used some tough words on Mr. Savice, referring to him and other peaceful protesters as toss and gangs, are pressing on it, and he doubled down. Mr. Savice will have the opportunity to respond. What a package. Why will you not share that show so that others can hear from Mr. Savice? Mr. Jad, I don't know how you feel. I think we're going to have a blast here.
All right. I mean, anything with Savice, man. The guy is charismatic. but gentlemen, before we go into Mr. Savice, first of all, how are you? And with this corona pandemic, you know, most of us are indoors, so we just want to check with you and your family how you're doing there, and how's the community?
We're doing very good. We've been staying home. Just the wife is a nurse, so she's got to go every day. I get to work for the third time since I came from Liberia today, just for a few hours. But we're doing very good. It's just cool. That's all. I'm not sure why it's cool at this time of the year. We're getting snow. Otherwise, everything is all right with us.
All right. I mean, today my daughter got a message that, hey, you're not going to be going to school for the rest of the school year. And she, being in 12th grade, was devastated because with senior prom, with graduation, preparing for college.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah, oh, that's sad. You know what? My daughter in the 10th grade, she said, I wouldn't want to be in the 12th grade this year because it's not going to be an exciting year.
Yeah.
Now I got what that means.
But in any case, we are observing the protocols and staying indoors, going out when it is absolutely necessary. And right here in the metro Atlanta, Georgia area, the pollen count is so high. So even when I go out and I cover my mouth, I look kind of a little crazy that, there is nobody around him. There's no one within 6 feet. Why is he covering his mouth and nose? But the pollens can be very dangerous.
Yeah, no. I heard your president say you got to start using scarf now, so let's try to use some scarf now.
Come on. As soon as you are so impatient, you want to start the show.
I want to start the show, and I can't wait. But hey, don't get me wrong. I'm enjoying the conversation. It's good to check with our guests, with the coronavirus thing and Savice. I just want to give you the opportunity to speak to Liberians all around the world, especially those in Liberia, how to take this thing serious. We got this way of, playing down serious matters. Maybe we do it to laugh it down or something. So speak to that.
Yeah, it's always been our message that we all should take this very seriously. It's no fun. The whole war is at standstill at the moment. People are dying. We cannot overlook this pandemic. It's serious. It's not where 1 or 2 countries in Africa got a problem and the rest of the world try to assist. This time around, the whole war is affecting. Don't overlook anything that you've been told to do. The only thing you shouldn't do is to call your doctor. Our president said, call your doctor. Just don't do that because you can't do that. But make sure that you're washing your hands. My wife works in the hospital. She comes every day, tells us what to do. Detergent works. People say heat works. I see someone boiling lamb and other stuff, inhaling the heat. Wash your hands, take care of yourself, and you never know. Also, you need to listen to the Ministry of Health. They said stay home. Make sure that you're not in any gathering. Just heal to these advices, and we should be okay. I think we got just about 4 or 5 cases in Liberia. We've been told there are another 2 or 3 this morning. We're hoping that it won't be of any serious effect in the Republic of Liberia. But just make sure we're listening. This is very serious.
Thank you, Brother Emmanuel Savice, and we all can emphasize how deadly and serious this pandemic is, and so no one should overlook anything. Okay, Dennis, the stage is set. Those in cyberspace, we have a very good package here for you with our guest, Emmanuel Savice. Emmanuel, we know that you are well known because of your work, but it is a tradition that when you come here, some people may see you, in cyberspace, they see your work. Some of who are friends with you, we know you are a family man. But in less than 1 minute, if you don't mind, who is Emmanuel Savice?
Well, I like to look at myself as an advocate. I am the leader of LOJA, Liberians United for Justice and Accountability. Of course, I live in Canada, married with 6 children. If you want to live with me as the guy who was behind War Crimes Code, I'm glad to be that person. I'm also the lead host on the Emmanuel Savice Show on radio Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Talk about justice and accountability. And I'm a businessman in Canada. I own a trucking company. Also own a moving company. That's what I do here in Canada. So just who I am, I will more than likely want to be labeled as a guy behind War Crimes Court.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Mr. Jad.
Yeah, and Mr. Savice, this is very important. You are being championing the cause for war and economic crime code. You also add accountability and justice. Why this push for war crime court, accountability, justice? And as a follow-up to that, what is your accountability and justice restricted to war crime, or you also care about the day-to-day issues of injustices that are happening back home in Liberia?
Yeah, we do care about day-to-day. LOJA, Liberians United for Justice and Accountability. We have started releasing official statements about the day-to-day activities of the government and every other injustice that we can find in today's world. We made a comment about the the injustice of some of us who are on the side of the war, who took citizenship on this part of on the side of the war, not being citizen. I know we're going to get into that, but just to let you know, we do care about it, and we care about the economic crimes of yesterday and today. We also care about war crimes, so we want to make sure that these things come hand in hand or work parallel, so that people who are in authority can know that you're not just there to be stealing from people, killing people, directly or indirectly.
Are you winning in this push for war and economic crime code, or how is it?
Yes, we are. I think we are. First of all, the conversation, I've been elevated in Liberia. The president is afraid of it now. He's ordering our meeting somehow. We've been hearing from the deputy press secretary, and I want to believe that's the official statement coming from the president's office. That tells you that they're scared, and they don't just want to hear about the things of yesterday, things of today. They are afraid of us talking about war crimes code because they're involved. They're afraid of us talking about economic crimes code because they are involved. So I know we are winning. The conversation has been elevated. The United Nations has said that July 2020, the government must talk about the roadmap to justice and accountability. I really believe that is a way forward. And as you know, the president was just in New York at the General Assembly, in which he expressed that perpetrators and, of course, those who have been accused would like to clear their names. But then he went back and met Liberians and said something different. So the fact that we're talking about it means that we're winning.
And Emmanuel, if I may, throughout the president communication,
download it from libmusic.ga.
to the people of Liberia, you who really want to see justice in Liberia, and knowing the president's previous position on the subject of war crime court, and why I see as a flip-flop on his side, now that he has the gavel in his hand, have you at some point been frustrated by the way he's changed position, including his party and some officials in his party?
At the beginning, I felt a little bit frustrated, but now I know that I can't depend on the president, or none of us can. It doesn't frustrate me anymore. What we intend to do from the level of LOJA is to continue to press forward, be as radical as they are, make sure that we continue to elevate the discussion, make sure that ECOWAS knows about it. We're going to start suing them in ECOWAS court. As a matter of fact, I was just getting prepared to go to Nigeria before COVID-19. We have gathered a group of lawyers together. We want to make sure that we are not just depending on President George Manneh. Because from all indication, the president does not care about war crimes code. There is this CDC that is looking forward to making sure that they got Prince Johnson wrapped around their fingers where they can threaten him about war crimes code in 2023 for support. And that's something he's going to yield to. And that is why you see they are keeping it as their trump card on Prince Johnson, somebody like that, somebody like Haji Nkrumah or George Boley. So we can't depend on that. So I was frustrated in the beginning, but now that I know we can't depend on him, I'm not frustrated anymore. I know at the level of LOJA and other justice organizations, we're going to keep pushing. And who knows, one day the world will hear our cry and there will be justice in Liberia.
So Emmanuel, how does the issue of war crime court and economic crime code resolve our problems? We have the issue of corruption. People are suffering. People are not getting paid. Little girls are getting raped. There is high degree of prostitution, all kinds of evil in society. And now there is this coronavirus pandemic. How does punishing those who caused the war or perpetrators of the war, how does it resolve this issue?
I'll refer you to the president first, because we see this as a tradition and culture there, my brother. Many people who get into government decide that they can do whatever they want. As I speak to you right now, you got Finabono building around a $200,000 house. I'm not going to claim all the way down to the president. You know what he's doing. You also have the Speaker of the House of Representatives. You got McGill on a $200,000 house. The reason why we need this is because this is going to scare corrupt Liberians from being corrupt. because if we can punish people who have committed economic crimes, those in authority will be afraid to use our resources the way they do. Look at the president, for example. And you know, somebody out there may argue and say the president was a millionaire. He's done this, he's done that. Like, I don't care. We all know George. We have reported $50,000 cash in Chase Manhattan Bank before he contested the 2011 elections. And he also said that he's got $200,000 in property. That became visible and a public document for us to see. And when the president became president, what did he do? He built millions of dollars condominiums right in our faces. We see this as corruption. We see this as something that if we had an economic crimes code, this president would not have done that in the first place. So if we don't do this, Mr. Ja, I'm telling you right now, the next president going to do his. The following president will do his. We must be very careful. Otherwise, we are going to continue to fall economically because of those in power, because they know there is no prosecution for these things in the Republic of Liberia.
All right. Emmanuel, quickly, there are others who see Liberia's problem to be more of a system, talking about our system of governance, if possible, in every sector that form part of the government. Like you, I agree that War Crime Code should have been established a long time ago. But the question is, how? If we can agree also that the lack of system in our governance is the core to the problems we are having, how does War Crime Code, War and Economic Crime Code function into improving or establishing that system of governance that will hold all of us accountable so that we can have a responsible government that we all can benefit from as a country?
You see, there is this idea of government that ordinary Liberians like us who are victims of the war, when we look into the kind of governing process we have and see rebels occupying positions, down from Ellen to Charles Taylor to the ones that are there right now, it just does not sell right to us. It makes me to feel, and many other ordinary Liberians like you and I, to understand that the way to power is for you to commit atrocity, for you to steal, for you to kill, and for you to do this thing, or for you to support these people who in turn give you position somehow when they win elections in any category they find themselves running. Now, we want good governance. You can't depend on Emmanuel Savice and say, you know, this guy looks good. He's a family man, he's a great person. Therefore, when we have him at the helm of power, therefore Liberia is going to be good. You can't look at Dennis Ja, Mr. Dennis Ja, Mr. Anthony C. and say, these are great Liberians, so we put them at the helm of power, and so things going to be all right. No, we need laws. We need laws to protect us humans. We are terrible. The next thing you look up the next day, you can say you want A, and by the time you're there, you will not want it anymore. Example, the CDC. They wanted War Crime School. They are there today. They don't want it. But if we have laws, if we have everything that we need to govern ourselves, we will not be having these problems. And that's why I believe Liberians United for Justice and Accountability believe that if you can prosecute those who committed atrocity, if you can prosecute those who committed economic crimes, then we are well on our way to form a new Liberia.
Thank you. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. It's our midweek special, and we are having the special with Mr. Emmanuel Savice as our guest. Topics we are discussing. We are talking also about Nwabudike and how the confirmation of Nwabudike speaks to our dual citizenship debate. We will be getting into that, but you can't have Emmanuel Savice and then talk about justice and accountability. That is a signature advocacy subject. And I love that subject. So when I have him, I want to talk about it. And Liberians should care about this subject. Hey, don't forget, we will also be talking about his response to Deputy Presidential Press Secretary Smith Tobe, who referred to him and other peaceful protesters as thugs and gangs. We will also give him the opportunity to respond to the alleged EPS brutality. You want to hear his story? He told his story. Some people didn't hear it, but we got some tough questions. Maybe he's ready. Mr. Ja.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue to move to the topic of Nwabudike. We had a show some time ago on Mr. Savice. I don't know you came to watch it, but before the hearing, which kind of where things, in my view, blew up, we had focused on Liberia on a show coined a new word called Nwabudike. So Nwabudike, I'm going to read it to you. And here is how it's defined. A newly coined word in a Liberian political vocabulary is Nwabudike. Verb has a verb to cleverly and by any means get your way through the system for your own benefits or self-aggrandizement. Example, he Nwabudike his way to his party's nomination. Definition number 2, verb again, or the entire selection process was carried out Nwabudikely. Number 2, to act with little or no regards to possible backlash or repercussion from those you are leading because such action benefits you in the short term. Example, John Flomoku was Nwabudikely appointed as Minister of Labor. So that brings us to the question of Nwabudike. How did this happen, Mr. Savice? Even before we go into the issue of dual citizenship, what's your general feedback to this whole issue of Nwabudike?
Well, Mr. Jad, to be honest with you, it makes me feel sad. I wasn't sad because we allegedly had a Nigerian that came to Liberia and naturalized, and our constitution said you can be anything, and except for president and vice president. That's not where that's not where I became star. You know, what really bothered me and baffles me is the fact that the people around the president, including the president himself, will not be able to vet somebody properly. There are a lot of things about this guy that they didn't understand. The fact that he passed the hearing before as LACC boss, or somehow, I don't know. They just sent him to the Senate. You know, the Senate is getting better. The Senate is getting tougher. And at this time, at least you should know that if you're going to vet a candidate, you vet a candidate that at least meet the criteria. You know, I don't want to talk about the dual citizenship aspect of it because I know that's something you're going to come so that we can talk about. But it's sad, and I just see the government as toy. Like, this is a complete toy government that would just do that and don't care, you know, for the repercussion. Now, if Nwabudike is being designated as NEC boss awaiting confirmation, how many other people are not Liberians occupying position that natural Liberians are not occupying that don't need Senate confirmation? That's just something that we all should all wonder.
Hmm. And Mr. Savice, if you can adjust your camera a little bit so that your head is not low. Okay, if you're like that, then it's fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we are in no way trying to Nwabudike you, so please.
All right, Mr. Savice, stay on the subject of Nwabudike. Before we get to the dual citizenship component of it, there is this argument that is gradually picking up, and we're putting a debate together on that. There are others who see no problem with the president who made the appointment and tend to see problem with the Senate that confirmed him to his previous position, or which is a current position now. So where do you stand? Who can you blame? Can we blame everybody? I mean, is it a shared responsibility or shared blame, if you like?
So yeah. You're talking about the Supreme Court where he's practicing law. You're talking about the University of Liberia that admitted him. You're talking about the Senate that confirmed him for the first time. And you're talking about the entire court system where he has been, you know,
practicing,
representing clients and practicing law.
And just to mention, you're part of the team that booted out Kabina Janet.
Yeah.
You know, that should be illegal to have somebody who should not be practicing. Just to mention that.
He said he was not part of it. He was only like advising other people that were doing it, but he was not kind of fully representing whatever.
Well, he said many things that are not correct.
Oh,
You know, so at this point, you can only investigate the brother more to know who he is, because he has said a lot of things. He told Front Face Africa something different, told the Senate something different, and you know, he lies is catching up with him. But who do we blame for all this? We blame the President of the Republic of Liberia, purely, squarely on the president. You know, that's why you need to hire qualified people that will vet these people. But it's not just George Weah, it's past administration, it's opposition. You know, these are the people that want to lead but don't want to correct the system. You know, the dual citizenship is not good. I know we're going to come to it, but they can make you do it if they want you. Just don't say you are not a citizen. And you know what? If this guy could speak like us, if he had the kind of accent we have, if he was not the kind of Nigerian he is at this point, I'll tell you right now, you go floor and pass, you become NEC boss. The only reason why he's caught is because, you know, he's still got a Nigerian accent. Otherwise, you never know. There are a lot of people who are working in the government, even from the United States, that they say that we can't have dual citizenship that is working in the Liberian government. But they don't care about that. They care about when you are an advocate and then you're talking about something like justice, you're tough on corruption, you're tough on the rule of law, you're tough on the president, then they try to see what kind of passport you have.
Wow. So this guy carry a passport, but I think what you were speaking to, you more like trying to lay, you know, largely the blame on the president who made a selection or the appointment in the first place, because maybe you're suggesting that if he had not made that kind of terrible appointment, I can say that we would not have a Nwabudike on our hands.
No, we won't. And you know what? The president can say, but he was confirmed before. You know, so I thought he was a Liberian. I thought this. He can get whatever excuse he wants to give. The truth is, before you vet somebody, especially somebody who is not a Liberian, you must be able to do your own investigation, not just, you know, dump down on the Senate and say, this is the person I want to be NEC boss. And you know what, Mr. C, NEC boss is nothing to play with. You don't need a foreigner serving at the level of NEC. You know, that's just retarded, and that was crazy from the government of the Republic of Liberia.
but Mr. Savice, to the president's defense, this man was admitted before the Supreme Court to practice.
Yeah.
I mean, who else supposed to check our records when it comes to naturalization besides the court?
And that's the thing there, Mr. Job. You see the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the Charles Taylor, the Prince Johnson, the Ahaji G.V. Nkrumah. Look, our constitution said that we should be in good standing with the law of the Republic of Liberia. We're still having elections where these people are participating when they are not in good standing with our constitution. Nobody want to review these things. And so if we're avoiding some of these things, you got people like Nwabudike giving a back pass and going into the Supreme Court. We need to fix the system, and you can't fix the system by avoiding some of these issues and trying to come down hard on somebody like him. You know, I wouldn't want to see a Nigerian heading the NEC, but when you think of it, it's because of all the things that we have let pass through the government of the Republic of Liberia, and some of the reason why these people take advantage. I mean, it's like a pathway for people who want to be corrupt to just, you know, think about Liberia.
And Mr. Savice, finally, on the whole Sharia of Nwabudike, this guy, like you said earlier, got confirmed for LACC. That is the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. So this is a guy that's supposed to be fighting the devil in our society, corruption. All right. And this guy slipped through the Senate. They confirmed him for this very consequential position. Out of a sudden, because he's been nominated to a position where he will be the one presiding over election that decide who become this and this, then the alarm is blowing all over the place. I mean, what does that say about us and our leaders who are responsible to check these things?
It says everything that we are doing, everything wrong in the Republic of Liberia. And I'll tell you how the Senate operates. So there are three kinds of nominee and three kinds of negotiation. So there's this party link where the president appoints, and then he finds somebody within the Senate to negotiate with fellow senators so that they can have the nominee pass. that has been a system, and the system has been a system where they brought senators, they brought representatives to make sure that the executive get their work done, especially the President of the Republic of Liberia. We're now seeing some improvement, but don't forget, you are going to the third year of the George Weah's government. Sooner or later, you're going to start hearing about election. In the fourth year, those who have been left aside, who knows that they cannot be part of the tree anymore, you're going to see them start turning to opposition. So many of them will be there at this point to encourage these things, and then later on, they'll say no. So right now, you're watching a Senate that are looking to fix the system. They're looking to see that we have an elections in which they can oppose the president. I'll tell you right now, if it was early in 2005, you would not even know that man's a Nigerian. If it was early in 2011, you would not know that man's a Nigerian. I must give some kudos to the Senate. I think by now they are thinking well, and there are some individuals who are part of them who's making sure that we follow the laws of the Republic of Liberia. And I just want to salute the Senate for checking this individual and making sure that Liberians discover that he's actually not a Liberian and he's not qualified to occupy that position.
Thank you, Mr. Savice. Folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. It's made with special, and we have with us Mr. Emmanuel Savice. Now, Emmanuel, let's go to the dual citizen component of this whole thing. So we learn this brother is a Nigerian. He's not a Liberian. He deceived our entire system, from the Bar Association, from the Supreme Court, then let's talk about our university, the very president. He deceived the Senate. He deceived everybody. And Nwabudike he went through the system the entire time and benefited immensely. And he having to be a Nigerian. But our president, when they issue of your advocacy to reach to the president, to petition the president, you wanted to get to your president, you wanted to get to the leader of the country to tell him, hey, this is what I'm here for. People stop you. And they felt that you were against them. You allege or you alarm that you have been brutalized. What happened is that because you did that, in no time your passports are flying on the internet. But this very government has appointed Nwabudike 4 times, if I'm not mistaken, and yet could not find his passport.
Yeah.
They could not find his birth certificate, I mean not birth certificate, his naturalization certificate. They couldn't find it. But their own natural-born Liberian, Emmanuel Savice, they were able to find his passport.
Yeah.
What does that say about the whole dual citizenship argument?
Well, it just tells us that they don't care. They only look at the law when it affects them. So because Emmanuel Savice is with Liberians United for Justice and Accountability, and we are talking about justice and accountability, and is against President Weah, so they look for what sticking way they can get some of us. So what way can you get Emmanuel? Is to convince the Liberian people, because you can't tell Liberians that the advocacy we are involved with is bad. You cannot say that because people know it's good. It doesn't matter how many people listening to us, how many people hearing us. It doesn't matter how many people are with us. The truth is you cannot criticize us. So they look for something to criticize. And then they for a Canadian passport. I've always went to Liberia with my Canadian passport. I'm a Liberian too. I have my Liberian passport. The law says due process. You know, once a Liberian, always a Liberian. You put me through due process through the court, and the Supreme Court stripped me of my citizenship. That's the only way I'm not a citizen of the Republic of Liberia. But to speak to ordinary and gullible Liberian, since we are very serious about this advocacy, the government decided that we're going to publish his passport and say he's a Canadian. He's bringing problem in Liberia, let him go back to his country. They don't understand. I'm a naturalized Canadian. I am a birth citizen of the Republic of Liberia, and you're never going to be able to take that rights from me.
And here's the other part. Now, this is somebody, Nwabudike, again, deceived our entire system, which is a crime under our laws. He's still a free man, but Emmanuel Savice, who went to advocate for war crime court, the grabbing, the beating up, the guy him to go to the police and answer question. Nwabudike is yet to answer a question, even though he lied on an oath at the Liberian Senate. even though he deceived our court system, he deceived our president, he's still a free man. Up to this time, we are yet to hear anything. But in like less than 2 hours, they were able to grab you.
Yeah, because it's simple. Nwabudike is not fighting President Weah. I want to know how President Weah built his 47 condominium. Have you heard him ask that question? I bet you if he was asking that question, Moba Molu would be the first to say, this guy is a Nigerian. So it's not about what is right or wrong. It's about who you are supporting. And the fact that I am not supporting them, they can see everything wrong with me. They even look at the skin of my color and the color of my skin and say, this guy does not look Liberian. This guy has a Canadian passport. You know, there are Liberians who are gullible that will even ask questions like that. And even though we're born and raised in Liberia, grew up in Liberia by Liberian parents, they still ask these questions. If I was supporting the president of the Republic of Liberia, none of these questions would matter to George Weah and his follower. They would matter to the opposition. So that's the kind of politics we play. Some of us just want to make sure that things are right. Things are straight, laws are followed, because you can't trust the opposition. You cannot also trust the government of the Republic of Liberia. You want to make sure we have a system that whoever takes over, make sure they implement it. Do you think if we had a real system, the president would look at somebody in Nwabudike and say, go be NEC chairman? No way. You would never do that. The CDC would never do that. But it is a flawed system that continues to reign in the Republic of Liberia. And that's the reason why you have someone like him walking by. You know, someone like me, they can beat me, no problem. Because you know what? Why is this guy talking about war and economic crimes court? It is probably a crime to them to even talk about the crimes they commit. So I understand that.
Last question on that, Mr. Savice, is this whole system that you continue to talk about. It seems to me that everybody knows the system is flawed, but each group waiting for their turn to take advantage of a very corrupt system.
Yeah.
I was talking to, we're interviewing some people, and I asked them, you know, well, why all this alarm about Nwabudike? If the president has the power to appoint election commission chair, if it is not Nwabudike, it could be Azikiwe. If not Azikiwe, it could be Moba Molu or Timothy Weah.
Yeah.
The president has that power. What do you see is the way forward that we can make those kind of changes to have a foolproof system that no one can tamper with, that we don't have a Nwabudike situation on our hands?
So Mr. Jada, there's a lot of things wrong with our system. First of all, we should not have the president with absolute power in the Republic of Liberia. I have always said that we need a distribution of power. We need to make sure that Liberia is not just Monrovia. We need to make sure that we are electing senators, we're electing representatives, we're electing mayors, we're electing superintendents, because you cannot give the president all of the power. And that's what we've been doing in the Republic of Liberia. The way we raise leaders is by seeing what they're doing. So let's say maybe you were the mayor of Maryland County and you're doing so well with that county. You know, businesses are intact, people are paying the taxes, keeping the street clean. You know, these are the ways that we can find leaders amongst us. But we have a governance system where the president has all of the authority. The president is the person who is backing, everybody must listen. And that's what people do. They succumb to the president because government is the highest employer. If you do not listen to the president, you don't have a job. And that's why we don't have a pure democracy, because we have a system of governance in which the president becomes way too powerful. And because of the power of the president, everybody falls to the presidency. Anything the president says is what we fall to. The only time the president is checked is when the Senate or reps come into play. And you know what? He's checked only when he does not have enough money to give most of the corrupt people that you find there. Because if we have money, if the government was giving up brown envelope like they were doing under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, you would not even have the issue of Nwabudike being stopped. That would have been a done deal passed, and everybody would pretend like they didn't hear it. Just like the case of Kabina John, and although I didn't like him, I want him out because I think he's a rebel. He's one of the guys that were ordering rocket propelled grenades to drop on people. So I don't care how the cat was killed, but I still believe he was unconstitutionally removed. And that is what we are finding on here, Mr. Jack.
Thank you, Mr. Savice. Finally, on this dual citizenship component of the whole Nwabudike scenario, as we speak, we have a dual citizenship proposal that went through all the formalities in the national legislature. I think my understanding that the president had fixed a signature on it, and they are sending it to the Liberian people to give their blessing, then it will become law.
Yeah.
In that proposal, if you are a natural born Liberian, like Emmanuel Savice, who acquire another citizenship in another country because you live there, you want better leverage for you and your family, you have restrictions, even though you are natural born. Nwabudike a way out in Liberia and got his citizenship Nwabudike, he can be boss of NEC. So it's a question about how fair is that proposal for you and me who are natural born Liberians to support it.
Very unfair, very unfair. And, you know, I'm glad you brought up this point. You see, I'm a supporter of Darius DeLong. I like the guy and some of the things he does at the level of the Senate. That's one of the problems I have with him. He doesn't want us to have absolute right to our country. I can understand the president and vice president restrictions just because some of us hold dual citizenship or somewhere else, but I cannot understand how you can stop us from being NEC boss, minister, deputy minister. You can stop us. You know, it's unfair, but this is a situation that has never unfolded in the Republic of Liberia before. Now, Nwabudike was born in Nigeria. Listen to the funny part of it. It's like the Liberian Constitution trying to dictate to the Nigerian Constitution. Nigerian Constitution 36A, if I'm not mistaken, said that, you know, once you're born a Nigerian, you are a Nigerian. Even if you take citizenship somewhere else, you're still a Nigerian. Liberia says, if you take citizenship elsewhere, even though you're natural born, we don't accept dual citizenship. So the truth is, the Constitution accepts dual citizenship, except that if you're natural born, naturalized somewhere else, the Constitution, according to Sawyer and the rest of the framework, they don't want you anymore. So they don't want a guy like Emmanuel Savice, who was born and raised in the Republic of Liberia, but they want Nwabudike. You can come, and they are saying once you naturalize, then you are not a Nigerian, which is stupid. Like, who are you to dictate to the Nigerian Constitution? This guy have not denounced his citizenship. He is still a Nigerian. He is a Liberian. Nigeria accepts dual citizenship, but you are assuming that because he naturalized, even though we know he didn't, then therefore he is only a Liberian and not a Nigerian. So this is stupid. This is something that we need to fight the system for. This is something that we need to continue to fix, and that's why they don't want to be fixed. Because I'll tell you right now, there is no problems with people in Liberia. Great Liberians are in Liberia, but the best of Liberians are in the diaspora. And once they can get you out of the politics, they can convince everybody else in Liberia about what they're doing. Because the truth is, those who know better would just support the system because they got to buy a lapa for their wife. They got to send their children to school. But they can't do it with you, Mr. C, because you live in the diaspora and you can take care of yourself. So you have a voice. The same thing if it was the case in Liberia, if people could afford things, they will have a voice. But it's a gullible society because people are poor, so they are using the system. It doesn't make any sense to tell a natural born like Emmanuel Savice that he's not a citizen of Liberia, but then you can also look at a guy like Nwabudike and say, you are a citizen, come and be an NEC boss. It just doesn't make any sense. Even the president of the Republic of Liberia knows that doesn't make any sense. But the politics tell him to do that, and that's what they're doing. So it's unfair to us.
But Emmanuel, the people who are supporting the dual citizenship bill, though who work to bring it to the stage at which it is, many of them are arguing that it's fair because there is a window for you, Emmanuel Savice or Anthony C, who have other citizenship. If you want any other position in the country, all you have to do is to just renounce your additional citizenship, your team, and then you will be able to be qualified for the other positions there are in the government. So isn't that fair?
I don't think it's fair. However, that's what the law says. So if Anthony C, Mr. C wants to run right now, the law expects you to denounce your citizenship. Many of us would not like to do that, but if it comes to that, people who want to run will have to do that. The thing is, there is dual citizenship in Liberia. Just don't talk about it. as long as you can hire your passport and go. I could travel to Ghana, use my Liberian passport and get to Liberia, but we can't fix the system by being dishonest. We must fix the system because we know that's what it should be. Now, I was following the dual citizenship advocacy in the Republic of Liberia. One of the proponents of dual citizenship, somebody who argued about it, is Vonnie Shimmer. So Vonnie Shimmer, one of the guys being used to help Liberians in the diaspora so that dual citizenship can be passed. At one point, we actually hit the jackpot. The Senators reviewed it and said, you know what, I think we should put this into referendum. So let the people vote. So in October, during the by-elections, when we vote for senators, what would be on the ballot would be dual citizenship. But because of the fear in them that we're going to have a lot of Liberians qualified from the West coming into Liberia and competing with us for positions like senators and representatives, they decided to make sure that they put real restrictions that will avoid any Liberians in the diaspora who took citizenship to compete in elections. So they say, you know what, we're going to restore their citizenship. We're going to make sure that natural born becomes citizen. We'll send it to referendum, but we are not going to send this to referendum until the committee agrees that we put these restrictions on it. The only restriction that was on the original document, because I know about it, was anyone who was present, who was citizen of other country, who are natural born Liberians, you cannot be president or vice president. They removed that. They added that, of course, and added that you can't be a senator, you can't be a representative, you can't work with the Supreme Court, you can't be minister, you can't be deputy minister. So all they are saying is, you're just good to be charity. Man, like send some money back home like we do. And that is the same discrimination that brought war to the Republic of Liberia. So we are not still learning.
All right. And finally, they are also arguing that, look, with the new proposal, if it passes, like you said, you don't have to hide your passport again. I don't know you are aware of something in America here we call don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
And, yeah. All right. So I mean, if nobody asks you, if you don't tell anybody, nobody will know. But with the way the proposal is right now, you don't need to hide your passport anymore.
No.
So it's still done better. And then will you then prefer a clean dual citizenship bill with no restriction whatsoever?
I really think there shouldn't be any restriction, but it's just my opinion.
Okay.
I really think the best of Liberians are in the diaspora. Mm-hmm. If you look at Liberians in the diaspora, even those who did not go to school, mm-hmm. they learn a lot through what a society stands for, how mm-hmm. a society should operate. And even those who did not go to school, when they go to Liberia, they put their hands up and say, what kind of society is this? You can understand the difference. The best of Liberians are in the diaspora. And the reason why they don't want us to participate is because it's just going to be a competition against most of them who are very unqualified. But what I see in this is, let's take what is offered now. 2023, in October, they're going to go to the ballot first. When our citizenship are restored, then we can also take to referendum that we can be anything in the Republic of Liberia. So we'll take what they give us for now. The truth is we are entitled to it, but they don't want it. Like somebody like Prince Johnson does not support our citizenship, you know? And that is the reason I'm hurt. So a man that drove thousands of Liberians away from Liberia is also a policymaker stopping you from your own birth country, is denying you your birthright. And these are the politics that we are talking about. These are the politics that we continue to talk about that is affecting the Republic of Liberia. I'm glad the president do support dual citizenship, but it affects every one of us when they put restrictions in which you can never be able to participate in their politics. So you're going to leave Akaros Gray to run in District 8. You're going to leave Mona Peno to run in District number 9 or 10 or whatever. You're going to leave Color Green to run in District number 13. It's just what they do. They want to make sure that they don't have competitors like you and myself in the system of governance, especially as it relates to elections.
Thank you, Mr. Savice. Mr. Jha.
Yeah, let me read some comments, and we are sorry. I think our viewers have reported that our transmission is breaking, continually. It's lagging and stuff like that. So we apologize. I don't know what exactly is going on. But let me read some comments from Facebook. Where Brian says, why didn't you, Mr. Savice, call for the establishment of war crime court during Taylor and Ellen? And Love Charlie Johnson said, before Darius Dillon, all those senators were working for themselves. Vote them out. Mozilla Gizi, how can Mr. Savice reconcile with the establishment of war crimes court with Article 34 of the TROC, which gives immunities to the warlords? And let me read one more. Pauline Davis said, the president and his entire team are not for the people, are not for the Liberian people, they are the dictators. Sampons said, Emmanuel Savice is a Canadian citizen because he denied his Liberian citizenship. Liberia doesn't support dual citizenship. Ambassador S. Jimmy said, today every one of us are looking at President Weah as the cause of every wrong thing in Liberia in regards to this Nigerian man. But this man has been working in the country long ago before President Weah came to power. However, we are getting there, and one day we will have a good country. Mr. Savice, your response.
Let me start with the person who said that why we didn't support war and economic crimes for between during Charles Taylor and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I don't understand. First of all, I wasn't as old as I am now during Charles Taylor reign. During Ellen Johnson Sirleaf reign, I went to Western Union and sent Moba Molu $200 when they were out there campaigning for war and economic crimes. But I've been passionate about this a long time ago. You know, I lost my family in the Civil War. You know, there are many people who lost their family and want to speak out and can't speak out. So I know there are a lot of people like me who would like to do something about this, but they can't. So we who are in power or in the position to do something about it, we want to do something about it. So don't say we didn't, because we did. We supported the CDC. And besides supporting the CDC when it comes to war and economic crimes, I supported Black Rally. I sent Fubi Henry $300 United States dollar, and at the time I never even rallied in Liberia. You know, so every group that came out there that wanted war and economic crimes, we were supporting them, because that's what we want. We want war and economic crimes. So if you don't know, ask, we'll tell you. We have always supported this process. We want it. It doesn't matter. In fact, when the president went to the United Nations General Assembly and delivered a powerful speech in which he inserted that perpetrators and, of course, those who are accused want to clear their name and the war crimes court and seeking help, I was impressed. In fact, I was on radio, you know, applauding the president, but it was just a president lying to us. It's just a president who was trying to tell the white folks out there that this is what I care for, when he does not care about it. You know, so you can't say that about us. You can't say that we are not. And for those who say we are not Liberian citizens because we denounce our citizenship, I hope you understand what denunciation is. When I went for Canadian citizenship, they asked me to keep my culture. They asked me to keep my other citizenship. And they don't care. Look, when I was arrested in my natural birth country, when I was beaten and taken to prison or in the custody, when I was in police offices, it was the Canadian government that worked with the British government to make an impact along with Liberians on the internet. You know why the Liberian government even got afraid? Is because the communication from the Canadian government from Abidjan through their embassy, and the communication from the British embassy to intervene. I was taken to the British embassy. You know, am I a proud Canadian? Yes, I am. I wasn't born on their soil, but they are even helping me. But my country wants to kill me, my country of birth, even though I'm still a Liberian citizen. None of you are not Liberian citizens unless the Supreme Court take away your citizenship. So you need to learn this, that you are still a Liberian until due process. And taking another citizenship does not take away your citizenship from the Republic of Liberia. I'm still Liberian, proudly Canadian, and I hate when people say you pay allegiance to two countries, because Liberia and Canada will never be equal.
Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel Savice. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. It's Make We, and our guest is Mr. Emmanuel Savice. Let's go to the final segment of the show, Mr. Savice. And so, your last trip, which, if I'm not mistaken, might be your third or fourth trip to Liberia to advocate for the War and Economic Crime Code. You got in it with the EPS folks that are the Foreign Affairs Ministry, where the president is, and you got beaten. You were able to inform us, the Liberian people, and the entire world. And when we had Smith to be here at this network focused on Liberia, when I pressed him, he referred to you and other peaceful protesters as thugs and gangs. When he said that, I was shocked, and I felt that he misspoke. So I went and asked him, say, hey, did you really mean to call them thugs? He said, yes, because they behave like thugs and gangs. So that is your opportunity to respond. But first, please tell your story about what happened. How did these guys beat you?
Okay, so Anthony, my brother, first of all, here is a system that is full of flaws. Before I went to Liberia, we wrote every senator, representative, we wrote the Ministry of Justice, the police director, we wrote the President of the Republic of Liberia. I heard Smith told me saying that we did not give prior notice. And, you know, I've been on radio talking about it 100 times. I'm pretty sure you're tired of hearing me. When we are going to Liberia, Liberians United for Justice and Accountability, we announce that we are coming and when we are coming. Well, respect to the president office, who wrote the president and told the president that we will be coming by and would like to petition him for War and Economic Crimes Court. We gave a date. We said the same thing to the speaker, even though we wrote the speaker as a representative and wrote all other representatives and senators. And then we got a special letter to the speaker that we wanted to build a stand at the grounds of the legislature so that we can be able to sing, dance, give speeches. And when I got to Liberia, I went to the speaker office. You know, I was escorted there by one representative, Honorable Roslyn Swakoko Dennis, who is also a champion for War and Economic Crimes Code. She escorted me to the speaker office. In the speaker office was Edwin Snow, a few other representatives, and we had a meeting. And the first thing he told me, Emmanuel, you guys will not be able to build anything on the grounds of the legislature. It's not allowed. And I'm like, why? And he said, no, this is not the place you guys are going to do it. And you know, you can't argue with them on those kind of issues. Otherwise, they got the police there, they got this. So even though we want to, because we think we have rights, we decided to let that go. We negotiated with them, and they said they were going to get back to us. If I tell you that the speaker ever got back to us, he took my number. We're having a meeting when Summer 12 walks in the office. He looks on the left, he said, man, we need to have our little meeting, man. Don't mind the Savice, man. You know, he walked past me, collected the speaker that went in the closet, and they had their tag, and they were there about 15 minutes talking while we're waiting. The speaker came out and said, you know what, Emmanuel, we'll get back to you. You know, we walked out of the office and left. We also went to the Justice Ministry. We wanted a permit, even though we didn't need it, you know. And I saw the Justice Minister. The Justice Minister said, with a COVID-19, the coronavirus, I don't think we can encourage any gathering. Not to mention that it was March 10th, that 2 days before March 10th, the CDC gathered at the party headquarters. So I reminded him, and I also said, so are you aware that the CDC is gathering at the ATS on the 7th? There was no case in Liberia at the time, and there was none in Africa at the time. So it wasn't a major concern. So I told him, listen, we are still going to be gathering out there. We are going to make sure we use Article 17 of the Constitution to gather. They stopped to scare us. They went on radio and said we can't gather. They usually do that to me. And when we are there, we are not supported by opposition political party because they themselves don't talk about War and Economic Crimes Court. So it's like we are on our own as victims. None of them care. As you are aware, when I was flogged, none of them even criticize or condemn the flogging of Emmanuel Savice. So we were there on that morning. We gathered. There were 2 buses that tried to go through the entrance of the National Legislature. Police sent them away. And we had our mothers in there. They sent them away. You know, when I got there, I started to gather the crowd. They started to scare us. And then we started to talk back and said, listen, this is our right. We're fighting for war crimes. So you got a war criminal in there, Prince Johnson. You got George Bullen. You got warlords in this building and want to make sure that we use the right system for us to prosecute these people. So we started gathering people, went to the national legislature. The first incident we had was even after all the letters written, they were in session. And the reason why we picked a Tuesday is because we just didn't want to miss the national legislature. We were there twice and they were not there. So this time around, we asked when they'll be in session. We originally wanted it for March 6th, but because of them, we brought it to March 3rd because we wanted to make sure that they're there. So when we were there, we wanted to give our petition. The speaker sent a secretary to come and pick up the petition and go back to them. So we decided, no, we're not giving our petition to the secretary. We want the speaker to come out and receive our petition because 54 signatures of representatives are calling for war on economic crimes because they have endorsed a document that the speaker has not put on the floor. He put it under the carpet and he said there is something called jurisprudence. I don't know what their worry or their ethics is. And 7 committees, 3 committees. 7 people should sign 21, and it was not presented in the right manner. So therefore, he was not going to put it on the floor. So I start to engage the speaker about this. I'm like, we want to speak to the speaker and let him know we don't want him to send anybody because they have collected over 50 petitions for the establishment of war and economic crimes court, but they're not paying attention to this document. So we wanted to make sure we address them. So I spoke to everyone and said, and all of these things going on, the executive mansion has somebody that is there watching. They knew that we're coming to them. They knew, and they are planning all of this. So I said, we're going to go inside the building, and we're going to let those know that are in session that we want the speaker to come down to us. So I led a group of 7 persons and asked the crowd to stay. And I said, if they don't listen, we'll bring the crowd in session. You know, you want to beat us, you want to do whatever you want to do it to us. But we're not going to sit and you guys get to take to what happened in Liberia, how people died, 250,000, and you don't care. So when 6 of us went in there, I told them, listen, if you guys don't want to listen, I will leave Liberians who are victims in the building, and then we can talk about it right here. Akara's Gray came outside and said, no, Emmanuel, let's try. Listen, you can't have the speaker coming out. We have a lawyer. It has to be the secretary of the Revs coming to receive petition. I said, listen, at this point, I don't even know what you're talking about. All I'm saying is, if we don't see the speaker or somebody relevant, we are going to come. And not that we are saying that the secretary of the representatives are not irrelevant or it's not relevant. But we want to make sure that we deliver our speech and we want to hand our petition over to authorities and not our secretary. And then they went back in because there was noise in the hallway. They decided that, okay, we will give you guys the deputy speaker. You know, I had no reason to reject the deputy speaker. The deputy speaker is one of the speakers of the House. So the deputy speaker came out. I came and let everybody know that we accept the deputy speaker. Deputy speaker came out, received the petition, and by the way, he supports war and economic crimes court. So
you're on mute again. Okay.
Make sure it's on the floor. So we're happy. We deliver our speech, we present our document, and we're happy with the response. The Senate came out with Darius DeLong and another individual, and we gave our petition. And we had a written petition for the president. So when I heard Smith Tobe say we went there with up prior notices because it's an irresponsible government. First of all, they should not have allowed us to go there without police guiding us. Our first 2 rallies in Liberia, police was guiding us. Why was there no police, even though they were waiting? We walked to the president's office and we did not do anything different than what we did first. We usually come with a pickup truck, and the pickup truck is to have our sound system so that we can be able to speak to people, whether in their hundreds or in their thousands. And we did not park the pickup truck. You can go and watch the video. We parked on the side, and we did exactly what we did the 2 times. You go, you see protocol, and they tell you what to do. The first thing when I got to the entrance, you know, we were a few feet away from the main entrance. The first person that engaged me was Seward Briggs, who is a former rebel, a guy with Benjamin Yatan named in the conspiracy that killed Toki. He's the first person that attacked me with Gaddafi. You know, like, listen, man, you can't just come here. We want to develop this country, and you guys talking about war crimes code or whatever. Like, go back 4 feet. And by the time I look, 2 slapped in my chest to get me behind. I was told to hire people to protect me, and I refused because of a situation like that. Because I know when you do, you're going to have people fighting security, and they're going to fight police officers. You never know. They'll pull up their gun and kill somebody. These guys are rebels. They're on all kinds of substance. Who knows what they're capable of doing? So we sat and started to negotiate. But there is a guy called Trocon Roberts. I have been told that Trocon Roberts is their boss. He's a very professional young man. He calls me on the side. He called me on the side and said, Emmanuel, I would like to do my job, and then I'll go to the president. There are 2 things. 3 of you have to go upstairs to see the president, or whoever designated, maybe Achibo Bonar, and then just get the crowd across the room and can go deliver your petition. I say, you know what? I would take that as a last option. But can you let our president know that we want him to come down to us? Because I'm interested in delivering a speech to this president, because this president has said he wants war crimes code, and he has also said he doesn't want it. We don't know what he stands for, and we want to put him on record when he received our petition. And once I started to talk like that, the rebels got mad. You know, Seward came and said, stop talking to them. And I said, listen, I'm talking to your boss. I actually took the microphone and told people to get across. And then you know what it did?
No.
They made a cycle around me. They grabbed me. They took me in their boot. I've challenged them to produce the CCTV video footage in our boot on that day. Up to now, they have not. My lawyer is still waiting for everything. They grabbed me, pulled me in that boot. They kicked the hell out of me, stepped me, put a cloth to my ear, kicked my ear, started to say, this is the ear that I don't hear. They beat me off, and then they later turned me over to the Liberia National Police. That's what happened. When we went to the Liberia National Police, I stayed there for almost 6 hours. The president's office released a communication that I'm going to be charged and forwarded to court. And Patrick Sedu said, but I have been with Emmanuel twice. He's not a violent person. He always listens. You know, I did not get any instruction from the Justice Ministry to be able to guide these people. So nobody told me what was going on. It's not all his fault. So he had a communication with the president's office and the EPS, and they decided to let me go after keeping me and 5 others for 6 hours. I went home, went to the hospital to SOS, and then went to St. Joseph Hospital, and then came home, and they asked me to return the next day at 10 o'clock. We returned, we went into the Patrick Sedu office. You know, my father was present. My father works for the Ministry of Defense, just so you know, and he's been in the Army for 37 years, you know, almost all his life. He's been in the Army. My grandfather was a brigadier general of the Armed Forces of Liberia and Ambassador Dole. So all these people have their own attachment with government. You know, my father came and they helped me out, and they talked, and by the time I looked, I was out of there without any charge. That's what happened to me when I was in Liberia.
Wow, what a story. And then after all this, when the press secretary of the president, Mr. Smith Tobe, deputy press secretary, decided to speak on this about what happened, he referred to you and other protesters as thugs. This is your time to respond. Were you surprised when you heard that?
I was very surprised. You know why I was surprised? Because this is a member of the Press Union of Liberia. This is a guy who was just a journalist the other day. This is a guy who was a talk show host. No way Smith Tobe should be referring to any one of us in that form of faction. I've heard the office of the president lie about this issue. I, Solo Kiaba, who is the press secretary to the president, and I work for the Inquirer newspaper, or at the Inquirer newspaper. I know him very well. We have a very good relationship. When he was appointed, we met in Brussels. We had a conversation. I congratulated him. And when he was in the States, we talked. We're like brothers. We're friends. But I'm on the other side. I'm not within the administration. He's part of the administration. And you understand where I stand when it comes to war and economic crimes code. I heard him on the radio line about the situation, but he never said words that was used by someone like Smith Toby. It just shows how unprofessional he is. And I got to call this guy out here. I can't believe. In 2018, when I went to Liberia for War and Economic Crimes Code, when campaigners and victims were in the street, Smith Toby called me, wanting me to be a part of his show. You know, he charged me $120, and I told him, listen, if you don't think we are here for the news and you want to charge us that amount, then obviously we're not going to be showing up on your show. He called back a few hours to negotiate the price, and I told him I was not interested because we were already booked with 50-50 on other shows. This is the reason why I am so baffled by the fact that someone like Smith Toby, who yesterday castigated this government and said he's got a lot on gender ministry, all kind of corruption scandal. The man who says CDC talks, where burning his house down, will refer to peaceful Liberians who came to rally for justice and accountability as talks and as gangs. And you know, he said we arrested a gang. And one of the questions he asked was, it okay to beat him? And he said, you know what? Such action calls for such response. Is that an admittance from his office that they beat on Emmanuel Savice? And I was just so glad. And I always watch the show because Focus on Liberia is one show I like to watch because, it's professional. It's an enviable platform. So I was glad that I saw what he said, listened to him. I heard what he said. And I was glad that you were asking the tough question. But I'm baffled by the fact that someone like Smith Toby, who should be representing the president's office, will refer to victims as gangs and talks. So that's what they thought we were already. They have already planned all of this. And that explains why I was beaten, because I was referred to as gang, as talks, and other individuals who went to campaign with me were gangs and talks. And I just want to remind him, those are the people that elected this president into office. You know, not Liberians who are out there who knows the A from B, the C from D and E that can evaluate. Many of them did not stand in the way of this. Will stand in the way of this president because of incompetence. The only ones that know better that will vote for a president like what you work for is the ones that would benefit, like the ones that are benefiting now that know their left from right. So the war created a lot of Liberians, and there's no insult to our people. The war created at least 4 generations in illiteracy, hardcore illiteracy. And that is the reason why we end up with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, we end up with President Weah. And this is the reason why these people don't want justice and accountability, because it's going to fix the system. So I'm not surprised that the president of office would think that we are gangs, we are talks. Obviously, they are supporting rebel. Once you support rebel, you are a rebel.
Thank you, Mr. Savice, for telling your story. And we are glad that we can give you the opportunity to respond to Mr. Toby for referring to you in that manner. I can't emphasize enough myself. I was shocked. I didn't expect that to come from somebody like him who came across as a gentleman to refer to you in that manner when you were exercising, or you and others were exercising your constitutional right. We have had you now for quite a lot of time. We, got a lot of good information from you. You responded to the tough questions that we have for you. They may not be the last time we call on you, because the work you do, some of us saw the war, Emmanuel. We saw the war, we all have our own stories. And so we will always reach out to you. But my last question is, you received this treatment. The government, I know they try to deny it, but they can't deny it to convince a lot of people. It's something that should scare you. And you being a family man, your family here, are you going to venture in that territory again? Because at some point, myself felt that, whoa, would their brother go in the territory and leave a family? I was scared for your family. So my question is, are you going to do this again and go back to Liberia, given that they are taking you now, looking at you as a dog? And again, will you go there?
Oh, yes, I will. I go every 6 months to rally, and we at Loja decided I would do this every 2 months now. Not that I'm going to be there every 2 months. I'm going to be there every 6 months. But every 2 months, we're going to rally for justice and accountability. I'm going to fire up. I'm just frustrated that my kids would feel otherwise. My daughter was on Facebook, and she saw everything that was going on. She was worried. You know, my daughter turned 16, you know, and it's embarrassing. My wife was at work when she heard that I was arrested. And she's the head nurse where she works. And she had to leave work that day, so disturbed. So you can imagine what they'll say to you, like, you know, we are worried about you. We don't want you to do this. But, you know, let's be honest here. We lost our family. I'm brotherless. I don't have my brothers with me because they were murdered in the Civil War. And when I think of my situation, I think of others in Liberia, especially with our boys. Like, if we don't do something about it, then who's going to do something about it? I think it's incumbent on all of us Liberians, born of that soil, son of the soil, daughter of the soil, to think about persecuting these people. At some point, we got to think alike and persecute them. So, like I told VOA and the BBC, I'm more fired up. I'm going to be in the Republic of Liberia. They said they shouldn't give me visa. I will enter Liberia with my passport. Nothing wrong with you arresting Emmanuel Savice and putting him in prison because he came with his Liberian passport. At the end of the day, it just gave this advocacy some speed up there, because you don't want to say you don't want to hear the bad news. Some of the bad news are good news for Liberia. Some of the bad news might just get the international attention we need. We need to let the world know that we are tired of impunity, and one day they will start to act. So to answer your question, I will be back in Liberia.
All right. Then finally, somebody listening to you say, oh, okay, after the whole thing happened, you know, he was able to land an interview with an international media institution for the first time. I follow you. My first time to see you hitting about 800% watching, you know, your podcast, you know, when you went live to tell the story. So this guy is enjoying the popularity now. It's about what he gets. And then in the other end, how do you manage your family's concerns and fear? That would be my final question.
Well, it's unfortunate because you cannot get into these advocates and satisfy everybody. I remember the first day I hit studio to talk about the Civil War and how we were murdered. My aunt called me from the United States and said to me, I beg you, I want you to leave these people thing. You know, my mother is a victim of the war. She got afraid and she called me. You know, and you know, my wife, even though she knows better, she understands the society that we lived in. And she was like, you got to be careful. But, you know, when you have this passion and conviction about something, you must be able to convince people that it's what we need to do. My wife understands what I do. I've explained to my sister, I asked my daughter, my daughter last time, what if somebody come and do something to one of your brothers and sisters? Would you just let it go, or will you seek justice? And she said, I will seek justice. That's exactly what I'm doing. You know, my family was affected. You know, I lost my family in the war. I'm brotherless because of the Civil War. We got people in the Civil War that lost their family that we need to speak on their behalf. 250,000 people were not just related to Emmanuel Savice. They were related to you, me, those who are watching. Even some of the people that defend war laws, you know, traded their family lives for what they can get today. We got to continue. So I can tell you, you know, I have convinced my family they are in it with me. It's not like they don't expect that I'll come out alive. They certainly do, but they also understand that it's such critical time, and you know what, my life could be in jeopardy with President Weah and his rebels, and with rebels themselves present in the country. But if we're not brave to do something about it, the question would be, who's going to do something about it? And that's why I can assure you that, sir, that I will be back in Liberia.
Thank you, Savice. At this time, we will ask for your closing and parting statement. And there are two things I want you to do in your closing and parting statement, and then we will close it up. When that incident happened, Costa came out and he made a statement, and you had a response. And then to close, your final words to our people on the War Crime Court, on Nwabudike, and everything else. Thank you.
My brother, first of all, let's talk about the Costa issue here. I like to give respect to people who have been involved in advocacy. He has been for a while. You know, there might be some intent behind it, like I want to be a representative, I want to support Ben and I phoned him up before I started this advocacy and said, Costa, I would like to see war and economic crimes court. what are your thoughts? You know, because I'm ready to start advocating for this. And he said to me, Emmanuel, because I myself has been good friends. We talk all the time just before this incident, before I stopped supporting some of the things I supported before. He said to me, Emmanuel, don't waste your time. There will never be one economic crime squad in Liberia. You know, he said that to me, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and advocate anyways. You know, I'll make sure I take it to the top, and hopefully, you never know. I think it's the right thing to be done. So when he was clear, he doesn't want it. Now, you have a guy who supported Bernard Ewing, insulted Joseph Nwabudike, and then come back to Joseph Nwabudike and say he's the weak. And then the next thing you look, he's with George Weah, and then you look, he's with CP. I just don't understand. But that is the reason why we have a problem today, because we cannot even understand our own consistency. And that's my problem I have with him. If you want to stand for something, stand for it. Unless you want to stand for an employment leader or for a government job leader, then I have a problem. June 7, I supported the rally, sent $500 United States dollars of my own money, dressed people in war and economic crime squad to form part of the rally. I've been in Liberia for rallies. None of these guys support me. Not DeLong, not Costa, not the CDC, not the Unity Party, not the CPP, not the LP. Like whatever you call it, they don't. When you say war and economic crime squad, they get away. They get away from that composition. They don't care about it. So because they came out with a we are step down, and the we are step down was the kind of conversation they had, they really wanted it. They wanted we are to step down. And I'm thinking, you know, when we are step down, who do we have? We have the vice president, or we have Buffer Chambers. Is that what we want for the Republic of Liberia? Obviously not. But if we can constitutionally impeach the president, you know, that would be better. But that's not the case. You want a man to step down. Look at people that are controlling the AK-47. You're talking about Gaddafi. You're talking about Seaward Bricks. Who do you think is going to be the victim? The Liberian people will engulf into another civil war. You know, these are the people who don't even want war crimes taught. But they're asking the president to step down so we can start killing each other again. No, we don't want that. If you want the president to step down, go to the national legislature, look for where he has breached the Constitution, and a vote of no confidence should be passed by the House, taken to the Senate, and get rid of the president. Otherwise, we will keep this president for 6 years and try to find a better president. And that's the reason why he's upset. So when I was beating as an advocate of somebody who has been involved in this for a long time, you think that you'll be mature enough to say this was wrong. Because when they chased him into Sierra Leone, I was there condemning the government, and I'm on record for that. Condemning the government. Like, why would you do this to somebody? Why would you do that? But he's not the same person. Today he was on my broadcast, and he was being sarcastic that, oh, 170 person watching, congratulations. That's impressive. To tell me nobody's listening to me. So for some reason, I think he's bothered about me. And that one day people was calling my name on Facebook, it really bothers him. So I understand the immaturity. I think he's very immature. But hopefully he got some growing to do. And once he does it and start to listen, hopefully you will understand that advocacy is not about one person. It's about a society, it's about a community, it's about a country, and it's about the world at large. So maybe one day you will realize that you should not be the only advocate in the Republic of Liberia. I think that's what bothers you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you for everything. We here at Focus on Liberia want to thank you for honoring our invitation. Again, like I said earlier, anytime we will reach out to you to speak on this issue. Liberia is our country, and we got to talk about these things that affect us as a people. Mr. Jai.
Yes, the broadcast, we keep getting feedback. It's very bad, so we'll be closing right now. And if Mr. Savice, if things improve, we're going to be calling you. Some of our viewers are calling even for a reschedule because they are not getting everything that you're saying. So please keep your schedule open. We'll be calling you soon.
I'll be more than willing to be on this MPO platform. Just let me know there, my brothers, and I will be right with you guys. Evening is good for me at this time. So I'll be more than willing to discuss war and economic crimes for justice and accountability on this platform.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Savice. All right, that will do it for our broadcast here at Focus on Liberia. Again, we want to say thank you for watching, even though things are not flowing as we would love to, and so yourself. But again, thank you and bye-bye.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.